Welcome to another episode of Live Healthy Longer with Dr. Jim. And let's discover if you can communicate with family members and friends who have passed away. This episode is supported in part by Amazon Books. Their slogan is everything from A to Z. And I'll have some great recommendations for you at the conclusion of this podcast. Now here's our host, Dr. Jim.
This is Dr. Jim Polikoff, and I'm pleased to share our first episode in the special two-part series, What Happens After Death and Is Reincarnation Actually Real? As you know, my training, knowledge, and expertise is scientifically based, so I don't buy into ghost stories and woo-woo. As a result, I seek information from my audience which is founded on actual evidence. Therefore, some of what you are about to hear is based on my own investigation and personal sessions with two very reputable psychic mediums. This episode involves communicating with loved ones who have passed away, and you're going to hear actual communications with my grandmother and mother who died many years ago. My first guest is a well-known and highly respected psychic medium, Kelly Palmatier. Now, Kelly is an evidential medium, which means her specialty is to connect us with family members or close friends who are no longer part of this world. They now exist in another dimension, which we refer to as afterlife. So let's get right to it. Kelly, I notice there's a touch of humor and sparkle in your voice when hearing you say, "I talk to dead people, and they talk back." When did you discover you can communicate with individuals who passed away, and why does this bring you joy and satisfaction?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I actually was psychic for most of my life. I think I was probably born psychic, and then I actively worked at developing my psychic skills all throughout high school and college. But I never really identified as a medium. And it wasn't until 2017 when I got a direct message from Spirit telling me to learn to channel for loved ones who've crossed over. And I was surprised, and I asked, how should I do that? And I got a message that to do that, read books, spend time in meditation, and connect with other psychics and mediums. So I started doing all of that right away. By the end of the month, I was channeling. And why does that bring me joy or sparkle? Well, when I got that direct message, it was actually in response to a direct question, because I had been sitting at the base of a waterfall, getting in touch with nature and spirit and praying and talking to my loved ones who've crossed over. And I asked for a sign. I said, if there's something I can do to help others that I'm not already doing, please give me a sign. And I wasn't expecting to actually hear an answer on the spot, but the answer that I got was something that has turned out to be life-changing for me. So I find so much joy and satisfaction to be able to help others, to bring people inner peace and closure.
You've had 30 years to date of experience in doing psychic readings. And of course, we can understand why people would once again want to connect with those they really cared about, whether it be a spouse, a parent, grandparent, or close friend who passed away. We can understand that. But why do people who are now in the spiritual realm, they're gone, they're away from this earth, why do they want to communicate with us?
A good question. The short answer is love. So often we're getting these spirits who were an integral part of our lives in the physical world. And they want to come back because we love them and we are grieving for them. They have loved us deeply while they were in the physical world. That love carries on. Love never dies. So why do they come back? They come back because they love us. And if we are reaching out to them or thinking of them, then they are still well connected with us.
Well, that's moving in itself, and it's good to know that they still want to be with us.
Yeah.
Why don't we begin with how you actually conduct a reading? Do your clients need to prepare in any way? I mean, do they bring you names of relatives or friends they want to communicate with? How do they prepare for your reading?
Yeah, so there's really not a great deal of preparation that's involved. I think the main thing is I just want people to be open-minded. But certainly if you've got things in mind, like, I really want to connect with my mother, or I really want to connect with my sister, things like that, you can ahead of time speak to your loved ones. Hey, mom, please show up in this reading. Hey, sis, I'd love it if you stop by. That actually can benefit the strength of the reading. I find that when that happens, a lot of times the spirits will, boom, they'll be right in at the beginning of the reading full force, and I'll be able to say, oh, you told your sister she better be here.
Interesting. How do you go about calling in spirits who want to communicate with your clients? I mean, is it like in the movies where the medium goes into a trance? I mean, how is it that you connect with those loved ones that your clients want to meet and hear from?
Yeah, so it's not like Hollywood portrays it, but there are some similarities, certainly. There are people who go into trances. I myself don't really go into a trance, but I definitely breathe deeply. I have to raise my vibration. Spirit has to lower their vibration. We'll meet somewhere in between, and I'll pick up on little tidbits, little flashes of information. And then I also have a complex, lengthy list of signs and symbols that I get. So that will help me communicate more quickly, more efficiently. For example, if I feel something on the left side of my head, that's a symbol for somebody who had a stroke, an aneurysm, or a blood clot. So lots of little signs or symbols that move things along more quickly.
Sometimes you actually feel the vibrations of things that are communicated to you. You feel the pain of the person that perhaps they went through in their past life. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And again, I like to acknowledge that every medium, every psychic and every medium is a little bit different. So like in my case, I am an empath, so I do feel the emotions of others. I'm clairvoyant, so I psychically see images, clairaudient, so I hear messages, clairalient, so I get psychic smells, clairsentient, so I physically feel the energy, and also claircognizant. So sometimes I just know things.
Well, you
Now,
clearly know things after all of the clears. Sorry, I couldn't help but throw that in. But no, that's amazing. So you have all of your senses are working for you.
yeah, now almost all. I was just about to say the one thing is that for me, clairgustance, which is psychic taste, that one is very rare for me. I've had it happen like just a couple of times. But for the rest of the five physical senses, I pretty much use all of them to some degree or another.
All right. So let's get to the heart of the matter. For those listeners who may have doubts about all of this, and I know there are many who doubt, I want to share my personal experience of a spiritual reading that I recently had with you, Kelly. Rather than talk about it, I want my listeners to actually hear what took place. So we'll begin with one of my first loved ones in afterlife, who Kelly identified for me. What you're about to hear is Kelly's voice during our session.
I do feel like I'm going to be connecting with a loved one who was sick for a while before they passed. Okay. I'm getting this feeling of someone who may have dealt with a partial paralysis. So this might be from a stroke or something like that, but something where I'm getting this feeling that my body's not quite working the way it should. You understand this?
I do.
How does that make sense?
It makes sense that it would be identical to my grandmother, who suffered a stroke and was paralyzed and was in bed for so many years before she passed, due to that stroke. And literally, my mother had to attend to her, on a regular basis because she couldn't do things on her own.
Okay. All right. All right. So I do feel like your grandmother is here as well. All right, now I'm getting a reference to the chest. To me, this feels more like the lungs. Did your grandmother have trouble breathing towards the end?
She might have. I was away at school, college, most of the time, so I wasn't there at the very end, but that would make sense that she was having that problem.
Okay. All right. She's good, by the way. I feel like it's a shame because, once she had the stroke, she wasn't herself. Um, I feel like even her mental capacity wasn't as strong after the stroke. It wasn't just her physical capacity. It feels like she wasn't quite herself after that. But she's telling me how that she's doing very well and that she is her old self again. And when I talk about her old self, I feel like I want to acknowledge that she's got some spunk to her. I'm getting sort of a fun, feisty feel like when she was in her youth. And then also I'm getting the significance of movement. So I feel like she's showing me herself dancing. So I don't know if she danced before the paralysis or not, but I'm getting this feeling of, look at me now.
Right. The one regret, if I may, should I express something about my grandmother?
Sure.
Yeah, the one regret that I have carried through my life is that I was not able to really spend a lot of time with her because she raised me when my mother was working, and
Okay.
I didn't really get to spend the time with her when she was really ill that I
Yeah,
should have. I regret that to this day.
sure. Let me see how she wants to respond to that. Hang on a moment. All right. All right. She's coming through with so much love for you. And she's saying, first of all, let go of that guilt. But she's acknowledging, she's like, oh, honey, you were off living your life, doing your thing. And I was so proud of you. She wouldn't want you to be sitting at home, sitting with her, spending all this time with your elderly grandmother. She loved knowing that you were out doing your thing. And I feel like this is something that you intuitively knew or that you were told that this was the case. But she's confirming that.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So, Kelly, what you revealed to me in the words of my grandmother was so impactful because for years I carried this guilt that I was out having fun in college while this poor lady who helped raise me during my childhood was suffering. She was immobile with paralysis. I should have been by her bedside. I kept thinking about that, giving her comfort. But here I was just out, having a great old time. So I carried that for years, many, many years. But to learn that it's not what my grandmother wanted or needed, I have to tell you that was such a relief. I
Yeah.
felt forgiven, and then I forgave myself.
Mm.
So had this feeling of needing forgiveness from a loved one who passed. Does that often happen with your clients?
Yes, certainly there are times when we feel that we need to be forgiven by our loved ones. The opposite is also true. There are plenty of times where we feel that our loved ones may need to apologize to us. And these are the types of things that come through a lot of times in readings. I always ask whenever I'm preparing for my day or for the readings throughout the day, and I'm doing my morning meditation, I always ask that each client hear exactly what they need to hear that serves highest good. So it's quite common that messages of forgiveness or apologies or encouragement and support, all of these types of messages can come through. The main thing is that it's important if you start off with validation, something that's evidential, like the fact that I picked up on the paralysis. That's what made you able to accept the kind words that came afterwards.
Well, that took me over the edge because there was no way that one would know that my grandmother was laying in bed paralyzed. That obviously she had a stroke, but it went further than that, and you were able to pinpoint it. So that was very moving for me. And I knew then you offer a great deal of credibility. Yes, I found Kelly Palmatier to be quite credible. And without question, I can endorse her intuitive abilities to put us in touch with our loved ones who have passed. My session with Kelly continued to identify my mother, who provided an understanding of what it's like to be an afterlife after we die. You can hear my entire interview with Kelly Palmatier on my website, jamespolikoff.com, as well as how to connect with her directly. In the meantime, we're going to move on to my interview with another well-respected psychic medium who also specializes in connecting us with loved ones who have passed. We're going to gain her perspective. So my next guest for this episode is Brooke Ann Allen. Brooke Ann Allen is also known as an evidential medium who connects us with loved ones who are deceased and currently exist in the dimension of afterlife. Now, if you're a skeptic, as I was, this episode will again provide proof that we can actually communicate with those we love who are no longer with us. Now, this time, you're going to actually hear portions of communications with my mother, who passed away many years ago. So here's my first question for Brooke. You know, the term psychic is thrown around quite a bit, but you're actually known as an evidential psychic medium. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes. So a psychic actually connects with the person's energy that's sitting in front of them. So you're going to tell them things about themselves, maybe what has happened in their past, as well as what might happen in the future. An evidential medium is one that connects to your loved one that is departed and gives them evidence of their life or experiences that they went through, things that are meaningful to you, but then they also want to acknowledge things that are going on in your life since they've departed to show that they're always around. And that might even come in psychically because they want to talk about what is going to happen in your future as well, and to know that you're going to be safe and at peace with what's happening in your life.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Now, your stated focus that I've read about at least is to bring healing and a sense of peace to your clients. So how does connecting the souls of loved ones accomplish this?
I think because death can be very scary for a lot of people, and when you lose someone that's very significant to you, you wonder where they go. Like, where is their soul? Are they in pain? Are they okay? Maybe they did certain things in this life that you're worried about. Are they in purgatory? Are they stuck? Are they at peace? Are they in pain? Did they suffer? And there's all these unknowings when our loved ones depart. And when they come to see me, they never leave your side. They are right next to you the whole time. And for them to validate that they're okay, that their body is whole, that they're not suffering, that they're not stuck, that they're with God and they're in the light. And then they come forward with who they were when they were physically here, shows that their soul is holding your hand on the other side, whether you realize it or not. And that is the sense of peace that is given when you see a medium, a legit medium that's put in the work, to know that it's just such a good feeling. Like, okay, well, a lot of people can't feel their loved ones because they're like, it's been 20 years since my loved ones passed. But they show up like it was yesterday. And they come through just as strong, whether it was a day, a week, 20 years, 40 years. And they're like, well, I thought they might have left because I couldn't feel them or I didn't sense them. And then they come in for a session and they show up.
So let's use me as an example. A week ago, you and I had a session, and I was quite moved that you're able to unite me with my mother. So rather than talk about it, why don't we listen? Here's a clip from that particular session.
She's a little opinionated, like she's telling me what to do. Like, she's not shy of her words or what she says, and then she brings me to the way she looks. And then she really wanted to highlight that passing of the jewelry. And with your mom, she, I don't know if you're the baby or who the baby is, but she just like, are you the youngest child of hers?
I'm the only child.
Oh, well, no wonder, because she just looked at you and she's like, my baby, my baby. And I'm like, okay, that's my symbol for like the youngest. So you're her only child. So she
Correct.
looks at you with such love. And she comes in and she gives you like the biggest hug. And she goes, I almost feel like it's like she looks at you and she goes, just tell him I'm really proud of everything that he accomplished. Because it's almost like she would try to guide you or try to say things to you and you just wouldn't listen. She's saying you're not listening to her.
Well, Well, that's probably true.
She said he's not listening to me, Brooke. I'm giving him this advice and I'm telling him what to do, and he's not listening, but I'm really proud of everything that you've accomplished. And then she goes, I wish I could just say goodbye to him one more time. And she puts her hand over my mouth, which is usually my symbol for wasn't able to say I love you one more time before I pass, or there's things constricting my area of my mouth where I cannot say it before I pass. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Because she says,
Yeah, because when she was passing away, I flew to San Francisco, where she was with my dad, and I didn't get there in time. She had passed away, so I had to see her in the, where a dead body is after they passed on.
yeah.
I don't know what part of the hospital it was, but I probably missed her by an hour or two.
Okay. It's also her
So
way
that would
to,
make sense.
yeah, it's her way to acknowledge that she just wishes she could have said, I love you one more time or goodbye before she.
We both wish that.
Correct. But that's why it's so important she's bringing that up. So that way she knows that you were on the way or you were trying to get there and it's okay.
So, Brooke, that portion of our session had quite an impact on me. For years, I was very sad and disappointed that I never had a chance to say goodbye to my mother. Now, do you find that being able to say goodbye to a loved one also haunts other clients during your readings?
Definitely. Yes. There's a sense of guilt that a lot of people carry, and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it or think about it because they kind of like push it deep down inside. And then when they come have a session, it can come out. And it is what you need to hear to let you know that it's okay and that they know why you couldn't be there, or they know you tried, or there's things that you need to hear to kind of release any guilt and to know that their soul's okay and that you weren't supposed to be there at that time. You were there for them in other ways. And at that moment, they understand. And sometimes people are with them and they get to say goodbye. And it might be something else that they need closure on in a session. But 100%, you were right. A lot of people need to hear that.
Let's listen to another portion of our reading, which provides further validation that my mother was actually communicating with me through you. This is a question I asked you, which pertains to afterlife. I'm kind of curious, can she reveal what it's like in afterlife where she is? And
Yeah.
she calls it heaven?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What's it like? What does she do every day?
Well, she's a busybody. Tell you that much. She's like not sitting still, even in my office, where she's like, Brooke, just tell them I'm doing everything that I did when I was physically there, because she's running around kind of keeping up with everything, doing everything. But then she labors my breathing, so I know she might have had a hard time breathing in this life, but I know that she's okay now. Do you understand she had like issues with breathing while she was physically here?
Probably because of the cancer, probably, towards the end.
Perfect. That's okay, because she's showing where she can breathe now, and like she's doing everything that she would want to do. Well, I could tell you she stays busy, because I'm like, she's not one to idle. Like, she is constantly doing stuff, whether it's in the home or outside of the home, but she's staying busy. But then when I was asking her, can you explain certain things about how you are right now? I mean, she's like dancing and singing and enjoying everything, and she's wherever you guys are, so she can go back and forth. But she just said, sometimes I'll get this when they pass, but she just said, it's like she's y'all's guardian angel. She watches over y'all now.
Knowing that my mom is watching over me and my family provided an overwhelming feeling of peace. How were you able to elicit that information from my mother? It's amazing. I mean, is there a technique that you use? How do you do this?
It's not really a technique. I just kind of allow them to use me as the vessel. I'm the medium to communicate what it is that you need to hear before you even ask or think or say. and it's their words. It's not mine, and they give me this sense of feeling or seeing or knowing, and it's their way to communicate because you might have actually asked these questions to them in your head, or maybe not even out loud, wondering if they're around, and then they communicate that because they hear you. And I'm more of the voice to give you those answers to let you know that they really do.
Right. Well, my mother said a lot. So my
Yeah.
next question is, do spirits of my loved ones who've passed, I mean, do they communicate so fully as she did?
No, everybody's different. Like your loved one is exactly how they were when they were physically here. So if you have somebody that is shy, quiet, reserved in this life, or didn't talk a lot, they will just stare at me during a session. And I know that they're not going to say a lot because they will just watch me. And it's almost like they have to warm up to me before they'll communicate. And if people are, a little pushy or were outgoing or opinionated, like your mother, or would have a say in something that you were involved in or were doing. They're the exact same way. But even the quiet ones, they will come through, but it's different because they'll just say like one word. And I have loved ones come through that will be like, Brooke, you should just know. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know your life. You have to give me something, and then your loved ones are like, that's exactly how they were, very few words, just very content being around family. And if that's how they were in this life, they don't change.
And others, if they were very talkative, you're going to get a very talkative soul that conveys to the loved one, right?
Yes, most definitely. If they are a chatty Cathy, they are coming through just as chatty. And if they're not going to let anybody else in during your session, or I have to ask them to sit down, because I have actually had to do that during sessions, to please step aside so other loved ones can have a chance. Because I have to tell you, your loved ones get so excited that you are coming to see me.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about it because obviously the loved ones are in another dimension. Let's talk about afterlife. You've been part of many client experiences. So, what's your take on what actually happens after we die?
It is like peaceful. It is, there's no judgment over there. There's no hell. There's no purgatory. There's no pain. It's always beautiful. They can come and go whenever they want because they don't have the walls that are limiting them like us that we have in I call us our hard bodies because we're grounded and our soul is in a hard body. They don't have that hard body to cause them pain or emotions or things like that. And we don't have grief on the other side, and we don't have certain emotions on the other side that us as humans have to kind of navigate. And over there, it's just so beautiful. Like I've seen angels, like I completely believe in angels. I believe in a higher power. I believe in God. There's a higher being to all of this, guiding us and supporting us. But I do believe our loved ones are completely healed and at peace once they pass and their soul goes to the other side, which is actually right next to us. It's not, a lot of people wonder, like, are they in the sky? No, they're not in the sky. They're just right next to us in a different energy, in a different dimension. So they're not down below, they're not up high. They're right next to us. They're right on this equal
So, what am
plane.
I doing looking up into the sky all the time? My goodness, right here. I just look to my
Beautiful.
left,
The
look to my
sky.
right. There they are. My God, I feel congested here. In any case, from your experiences, do they do some of the things they enjoy doing in life, for example? You said my
Definitely.
mother loved dancing. She was dancing and she was singing. I don't remember a lot of singing, but probably in her younger life, I remember being told by my aunt that, boy, was she a dancer.
Yeah, they do. They do exactly what they enjoy doing. And if that was, somebody playing a sport, or if that was somebody cleaning or taking care of family, or whatever it is that they enjoyed painting, and you can do anything on the other side that you would like. It's
Interesting.
all available to them.
Once again, I want to thank both Kelly Palmatier and Brooke Ann Allen for sharing their expertise and skills with us. I also wish to express my personal appreciation to Kelly and Brooke for reuniting me with my grandmother and mother. That was indeed very special. And again, remember, you can hear their full interviews by visiting jamespolikoff.com.
You can hear the complete, exciting interviews with Kelly Palmatier and Brooke Ann Allen by visiting our website, jamespolikoff.com. That's James, P-O-L-A-K-O-F.com. Again, jamespolikoff.com. You can also reach out directly to Kelly Palmatier on her website, channelingwhitelight.com. That's channelingwhitelight.com. And for Brooke Ann Allen, go to her website, mediumbrookeann.com. Brooke is spelled B-R-O-O-K-E, mediumbrookeann.com. Plus, all of their information and other great podcasts can be found on our website, jamespolikoff.com. And here's 3 excellent books you can read or buy on amazon.com. The first is Live Healthy Longer with Dr. Jim, written by our very own Dr. Jim Polikoff. If you visit Amazon, you can read the wonderful reviews that are left there for Live Healthy Longer with Dr. Jim. Also, I suggest that you check out The Real You, Only Better, taking you inside the world of plastic surgery, and savor the romantic story of 2 reincarnated lovers in the critically acclaimed novel Rebirth of Erin O'Brien. They can be found at amazon.com. For more information, come to our website, jamespolikoff.com. That's James, P-O-L-A-K-O-F.com. Now back to Dr. Jim.
Now, since my guests are psychic intuitives, let's discuss foods that feed your intuition. Now, the definition of intuition is an ability to know something immediately based on your feelings. So yes, as a certified nutritionist, I can assure you there are certain foods which are healthy and can stimulate your intuition. The first is cacao, spelled C-A-C-A-O. Now, think of hot chocolate. So how can cacao increase intuition? Well, the cacao bean is jam-packed with antioxidants and minerals that juice up the immune system and stimulate your brain. The next one is fatty fish. Now, I don't mean fish that are fat, but fish which contain the healthy fat. We're talking omega-3 fatty acids. Fish like salmon, tuna, and sardines, they all contain fatty acids which can help prevent cognitive decline while stimulating your brain. Beets are known to open up your third eye, which represents mystical intuition and insight. Plus, beets contribute to the health of your organs, so you can trust your gut feelings. And one more intuition stimulator is avocado. Now, avocados are high in alpha-lipoic acid. It's a powerful antioxidant. By reducing oxidative stress and toxic elements in your body, you're able to more clearly interpret messages sent to your psyche. So why not stimulate your intuitive powers while eating healthy, nourishing foods? Please take a few minutes to read my latest blog, Foods That Feed Your Intuition. All you have to do is simply go to jamespolikoff.com and click on blogs. And remember that a new episode of Live Healthy Longer is available each and every Wednesday. Now, in the next episode of our series, What Happens After Death and Is Reincarnation Actually Real?, we're going to investigate reincarnation. Have we actually lived past lives? So plan to tune in next Wednesday for a new episode that might just blow your mind. This is Dr. Jim Polikoff. Thanks for joining me, and I wish you a healthy, happy, long life.